Welcome back, everyone. As I've said in the last two videos, MassTransit's got a new transactional outbox that's really slick. It answers the question that a lot of people ask. And in the previous videos, I focused entirely on the entity framework implementation. And that's almost like a teaser to make you say, well, what other databases are you going to support? Well, tonight I'm going to demo the sample converted over to work with MongoDB. So the transactional outbox works with transactional data stores, and MongoDB 4 and later has the ability to do cross-collection transactions. So I took a swing at this, and I'm looking for feedback because I am not a heavy MongoDB user and definitely not at the transactional level. So the idioms that I've put together for my own use might not make sense to everyone, and I'm not sure I like them yet, but definitely want to get feedback on it before we get the first release out of this for real. Yeah, so I'm going to run through the code real quick. You've seen the demo, watch the previous videos. I go into all the detail of the outbox. It's the exact same sample. It's just in this case, I've set up a 3-node MongoDB replica set because from my experience, you can't run a standalone transactional MongoDB server. You have to be in a replica set or another set to actually make it work. So anyway, I'm running a 3-node replica set in Docker. I have the same project. The only changes I've made are the changes to the submit registration class that actually creates the registration in the database and produces the messages through the outbox. You can see I've created this MongoDB context type. And this has a few things in it. I mean, I use these internally to like start a transaction and get collections that are running within the outbox. So this is kind of my little container, and it's called DB context because why not? But it also captures the session, and I can start the session, begin and close a transaction. So it's just kind of a holder for me. But I'm using that here to get access to both begin the transaction and to access the session that I'm passing to the collection to do the insert one async. So all of that stuff is set up on there. I'm doing an insert of this record. I'm calling publish. All the world is great. Everything's awesome. Super fun. Beyond that, there's a few registration changes. So if we look at the program CS now, I'm adding some MongoDB client stuff because we're not using DB context at this point. My database name is Outbox Sample. Again, this is the API endpoint. I don't have any services running on it. I can totally kill RabbitMQ and it'll still work. I've set up the add MongoDB outbox using the disable inbox. Yeah, whatever. Client factory, get it from the container. Database factory, get it from the container. I want all that stuff from the container. I want that configuration used. Same thing over here in the service worker. Add the MongoDB outbox. I got the client factory. This is the one that's doing all the really heavy lifting because it's going to be doing the outbox replication and all that stuff. It also has a state machine, Saga state machine, using the same client factory, database factory for the Saga. So the Saga is going to participate in that transaction entirely and use that same MongoDB context for the transaction. So that's a new thing as well. But now, so the Saga will automatically join that session if the outbox is present. Otherwise, if it isn't, it will just use the regular MongoDB. Yeah, so awesome stuff. Pretty cool. The transaction is owned by the outbox. The only other change, I think, is the state machine definition, which uses MongoDB outbox. So instead of use entity framework outbox, we're using the MongoDB outbox. So different configuration, but very similar, was able to parallel a lot of that stuff. Enough yip yap, let's try it out. We go in here. I come in and I say I want event 21 and I want member 1 to join. Boom, immediately comes back. I've got my member join, my registration ID. If I go out and look at the logs, I can see, hey, here it is. I just registered. It was, where was it? Member 01 registered for event 21. I got the receives, I got the registration, the Saga, you can see the Saga completed, created, added, did all of its thing. We can even test the retry, which I will be honest, I neglected to do before I did this. So let's hope it works. I'll do it for $50. We got the cheap seats. I must not have put the cheap seats in this one. Yeah, because this would be member 2, right? Notify member 2, they registered for the event. Saga state machine registration submitted. Yeah, what was the cheap seat? Did I really jack up the price? Let's look at the state machine. Go to the videotape. Oh, if it's less than 50, see, I was right on the border. So if I make it $49, I should get the exception for member 3, and then it should retry. So if I'm going to execute, of course, everything works up front. Ah, yeah, here we go. Now we can see that the state machine did a retry. It's a warning. I did the created added on the registration state. Now I come down here again, and look, I got a created added again because it does not exist, because that transaction was rolled back in MongoDB. Once everything completed, all the messages consumed, everything great. Same experience, Outbox cleans up. Awesome. So anyway, that's the sample, updated for MongoDB. Everything else is in the previous videos, so definitely watch those if you don't understand how the Outbox works. Quick one tonight. Check it out. Enjoy it. Let me know what you think, and let's clean up that syntax. If you have any suggestions, hit the chat on Discord or leave a comment on GitHub discussions. Thanks a lot. Take care. Peace out.